security and all of the challenges that we have both from the IT and the OT side of it, right? Of course, with open process automation, we get to take a new swing at that because it's all new. But the good news is we have a lot of technology. We don't have the legacy equipment. We don't have the proprietary systems that we have to deal with today, right? There's obviously a lot of things in OPA. You talk about the security objectives. You talk about zero trust environments. We have the opportunities to implement these in the OPA systems coming today. And of course, it's open. We don't have a single vendor. You know, some of the software systems we're putting are 30+ packages together. So how do we do that? You know, you can't just say, well, it's all yours. No, we have to work with the infrastructure and the software that's there. We have to do a lot of assessment work to make that really happen. To the same point, no common software, no common hardware, no common operating systems. You know, whether you pick on the Stalls operating system or the ASRock operating system or the Phoenix or the Windows, you know, we have 8 or 9 different versions of operating systems. So how do we secure all that, right? And then eventually we're going to get into things like hypervisors, and we're already using containers. So that just adds to this complex security model that Vivek already talked about this morning, right? So how are we going to do this, right? There's lots of ways to do that. I'll talk about a few of them, right? One of the big things we've done recently is done this assessment. You know, 62443 outlines a really good process of how you go through this. And so based on the work that the ExxonMobil and the Yokogawa guys did in their testbed facility, we have spreadsheets and spreadsheets of assessment. So we understand how to do that. But part of that's also how do you implement it? Are they part of Active Directory? You know, do the LDAP-S, right? How do we implement role-based access? So we have all of that really good information now to build on and to bring out to the forum and everybody. And I like the last comment in here. I know it's in the back, it's kind of hard to see that bottom part. OPA security is not the security of devices, but the embedded security of OPA applications, hosting platforms, and their interfaces. OPA is a software-defined control system. So hardware and software are independent. So we can now think about securing the application. We can talk about securing the data. We can talk about securing the hardware. They're all independent. And the reason that OPC UA was selected as the main protocol for OCF was its ability to have that role-based access, point access, the ability for certificates, et cetera, et cetera. So we can really start to separate the software and the hardware, and we can even get down to where we're separating, you know, this application from that application. So it's been really, really kind of interesting. Some more things. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this particular slide because there's another slide I want to show off. But, you know, traditional things like with backup, but we also want to use common and affordable tools. We don't want to develop something new and have, you know, this big infrastructure for a 100-point system. We have to be economical. It has to be able to scale from 50 to 100 points to the 35,000, 100,000, which is the beauty of the way the forum has designed their stuff. Most of you guys are probably familiar with OPC UA. I just wanted to bring this up real quick. You know, the secure channels, the sockets, and the sessions, and how OPC UA is used to secure the data. Again, a very important concept, and why OCF is going to work, and why open but secure is going to be a concept that we can carry forward. We talked about hardware, and something that we're implementing is FIDO, okay? Fast identity online. So basically what that allows us to do is take a piece of hardware and connect it to the system. And that hardware has just a micro OS. It says, who am I? And then we have a rendezvous server, we give a certificate, and we say, oh yes, I want to join your network. And we say, yes, you can join my network. So now I have a secure hardware platform. So now I know, great, I got it, that's mine. Hasn't been tampered with, I know the firmware, I know it belongs. Now I can give it a personality. Oh, you want Linux, or you want Windows, or you want, you're going to be a controller, you're going to be an advanced control node. So now you can start building up. It's a 3-4 step process as it joins the network. And that way you can use TPM, you can use the onboarding and the security to really secure not only the hardware we've already done, but also the applications, et cetera. So very nice process. The folks from Intel have really helped us bring that on. It doesn't work with just Intel, it does work with AMD and other processes. So these are some of the things that as the forum and people are going to get into OPA, those are part of the standards. We want FIDO to be part of that standard, okay? So it's been very much a collaborative effort between the test bed and the vendors and the forum. We'll do stuff in the test bed, goes to the forum comes to the test bed, says you can adopt this. It's a very symbiotic relationship with that. We put this drawing together to kind of highlight all of the challenges and a simplified detail for cybersecurity and how we're implementing this, right? So all of these are tools, right? So you talk about certificate management. Yeah, OPA has certificates, but so does the HMIs. So does some of the operating systems. Some of the other applications. We have multiple certificates. So we actually have 2 certificate management systems, going forward, which is kind of interesting, right? But we're just doing that, and we're using some third-party tools. Secure onboarding, backup. Today we have a Windows machine and we back up the application. Well, in OPA, I have containers. I have non-container operating systems. I have Windows applications. I have databases. So the backup isn't just go grab that hard disk. It's a very complex thing. And we're dealing in Linux, and we're dealing in Windows, and eventually we'll add Kubernetes in here. And so it just becomes very much of a challenge. Updating and patch, and that was also something that Vivek talked about earlier, is how do we patch these systems? And so that's part of the services provider role in OPA, is having those infrastructure, putting down the test bed, pulling in all of the updates and making sure they all work. Because today with 30+ packages, if you update one, you can break the system. So there's a process that's in place now to do that. And again, back to the independence, trying to make sure that they operate independently and in a standards-based way. So even if you get one upgrade, it won't break the whole system, right? Access, identity management, malware detection. There's some really nice new AI-based models, like Sentinel-1, instead of just using antivirus like Microsoft or McAfee. And then also the analytics and reporting. How do we gather all that logs? So we've done a lot of work in logs, gathering, reporting, and the amount of data that we're starting to get in on these systems is pretty phenomenal. When you start using Redfish and pulling everything in, syslogs from all the different applications. So, and then obviously kind of at the top of that, you have a monitoring and system monitoring analysis system. Pulling it all together, notifying operations, notifying maintenance, notifying engineering where there's issues. So, a lot going on. But I'm really excited about it, if you can't tell. The last 6 months, we've spent a lot of time on security, and the models really come together nicely, okay? The role-based access and the secure by design, so we feel really good that we're going forward on that. So I think that's kind of all I was going to cover. Oh, I did just want to bring up the parts map to different roles and stuff like that. But anyway, so excited. Glad you're all here learning about open process automation. We have some exciting projects going, and we'll be around this afternoon. Thanks.